Hello, I'm APXTricker and welcome back to an episode of my Minecraft Xbox Update Adventures Let's Play. This is the Let's Play where I'm playing through the various updates that have come out for Minecraft on the Xbox, building stuff, killing stuff, and of course, destroying stuff. And in today's episode, I'm actually going to be working on a little bit of an update aquatic thing. So yeah, basically because this update's just been on my mind a whole bunch this week, I've been thinking like, how would you be able to trap a dolphin? Or how would you be able to trap a turtle? And again, the exact ethics on like, should you be able to like trap them, put them in a museum or whatever, is kind of something we'll have to debate at some point in the future. But for now, let's just say we wanted to have, a dolphin in an aquarium. Let's just say we wanted to have a turtle. How would we go about doing that? So one of the things I figured I would do is make a little bit of a trap and maybe like a mini guide on how you can make one yourself, because we are going to be using a whole bunch of, sand, and we're going to be making a specific area that we're going to lure hopefully at least we're going to try to lure the dolphins, we're going to try to lure the turtles into, and then we're going to use that as our way of getting this done. So that's what we're doing in this video. Hopefully you'll enjoy the preparation for the update aquatic, because again, I'm sure some of you want your own little pet dolphin too, and again, there are big ethical concerns about having a pet dolphin, but on the other hand, pet dolphins. So yeah, the way we're actually doing this is we're using our existing rail. This goes from the museum, the aquarium, all the way to an ocean monument. I'm actually going to make like a separate branch of it somewhere, I guess over here's perfect, where as you can see, like we've got like this little bit of a, what do you call it, like it's like a peninsula, but it's like a water peninsula, and we're going to be cutting this off down the center, mostly, enough so that like stuff can get through, but also small enough that we can like close it off very quickly if we want to, and then that means that we can just very easily, seal it off once the dolphins and the turtles are in, and then we can drain it so the turtles and the dolphins are on nothing, put them in a minecart, and then send them all the way up there. Again, there might be drowning rules that make this a lot harder, that mean we have to work a lot faster, but I'm hoping, again, we haven't played around them too much, that it should be easy, especially the turtles. So yeah, today we're going to be doing a lot of like, I guess it's kind of like draining work, where we're getting ready to drain, but we're not going to drain yet. We're just going to be in a situation where as soon as we need to, we'll pull out the sponges and we'll get that done. Oh, I don't have sponges on me. So yeah, we're going to be placing a lot of sand, and also we're going to be working on the rail to connect that down to here, because I actually brought with me, I've got my shulker box here, I brought with me some rails so I can obviously like hook that up. I don't actually have any stone, which I guess I should use. Or actually, if we're going to connect it here, we should use a different block. So we'll use wood just to like signify this is very different. So we'll like jump up there, and actually wait, we'll connect it in a slightly different way. So like instead of going to the right, which is to the monument, instead it'll go to the left. I can't make this jump. Oh, wait, there we go. Okay, there we go. It's always a little bit tricky when something's just out of reach, because you never want to just be like, I'll place one block up, because I don't want to destroy that block. So instead I do things the lazy way that sometimes takes more time. It's funny how that works. Like sometimes laziness can really save you a lot of time, but in this case it did the exact opposite. So yeah, then we'll bring that round, bring it down to here, and then it will connect up into the water somewhere like over there, let's just say. So yeah, bring it all the way over here, and now suddenly we've got that going. So we'll just throw our rails on there, we'll throw I think we've got a redstone torch in here. We do in fact have one. Throw our redstone torch down, and then suddenly we've got ourselves a functioning thing. So this can't actually turn and go upstairs at the same time, so I'm going to have to like adjust that so it goes around here, because rules are annoying. And then that means we can place I guess we'll place a block up over here too, and then that means we can place a little block over there, and then that's fine. So boom, we've done it, we've got ourselves, actually we haven't done it yet, we have to place down the blocks, but then we've got the rail portion working, and we can work on the draining portion, which again, very important stuff. So 1, 2, 3, and then we'll just go get the rest of this, and then boom, we've got ourselves a functioning, I believe anyway, rail system. So it goes all the way over to there, and should also connect up to here. So it connects in a really weird way where it's going to push it onto the tracks, but again, it works just fine. It just means that I can't take stuff from the museum to the sea over here, but I wouldn't ever want to. So boom, working two-way track isn't that wonderful. Let's move on from this now, which is, I guess we should probably lower this a bit more. Let's move on from this to moving on to, I guess, that's just fine, to doing the sea stuff, and also talking about what I've been up to this past week. Because if you don't know, I went to Andorra. It's one of the world's few remaining micro-countries. I know, like, I know it's such a weird thing to, like, be super, like, excited or impressed about micro-countries, but honestly, it is something that, like, I know it's always interesting because the idea of a country is such an odd one, in my opinion. Like, again, we all just accept it because I guess you have to, but, even the very concept of, like, oh yeah, these are countries, these are just things that exist everywhere, it doesn't seem quite normal to me. Also, we have to really be careful that we're like going straight line. So yeah, like, because every country in Europe feels very different, blah, 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 blah. That's, blah, 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 whatever you consider to be a country, they have different feelings and stuff, right? Well, one of the things I find interesting is like, well, what about a micro country, Like, how different can it really feel to the two countries closest to it? Like, it's right in between France and Spain. How Spanish does it feel and how French does it feel? And the truth is, it's just like, oh yeah, it's exactly the same as like Spain, but on the other side. But then Spain gets a little bit closer to French as you go near it. And it's just, I know it made me realize one of the points that like you'll never hear people say, but like countries towards the edges blur into the other countries they are. So again, I guess you don't experience this too much of countries that are really too big. Like Russia is a good example where like you don't see the blur too much of Russia or like America. But like, you know, for instance, like if you go really close to the French-German border, everything gets a bit more German. There's the people who speak German that sounds French and French that sounds German. There's a lot of like weird things like that. And yeah, I realized that from going to a micro country. And also I went skiing there because one of the things, Andorra, again, it's a tiny country, but somehow it has a big name for itself in the skiing industry. One of the things that they're famous for is having like, you know, it's just the country is entirely mountains, so they have like 2 ski resorts, but one of them's like one of the biggest in the world. And yeah, it was kind of cool to go skiing. And one of the things I realized while you know, doing all of that is that basically, because this is one of the things I learned to ski as an adult. You know, I didn't. A lot of people get into it because their parents like take them when they're young and they just keep going on it. But I picked up skiing because there was a ski slope near me, and I was like, oh, it would be kind of cool to learn to ski, right? So it took me a long time, but now I can actually physically see. In fact, I'm not even sure why I wanted to learn to ski in the first place. It's just one of those things where I was like, oh, this would be a thing to learn, wouldn't it? Like I don't drive, but like I learned how to ski as an adult, which probably took me like a similar amount of time because it's meant to take like a day, but it took me like some number of weeks. But anyway, I learned ski as an adult, and one of the things I realized about that is that skiing is kind of like a rich people thing. That's my analysis of like actually going physically skiing. Because although it's like cheap to go on the ski slope, and although I personally, you know, like go for like 2 days and like on the cheap, a lot of people are just like, you know, we'll go skiing for a week as a family of 6, and it's like, geez, that must cost like the same amount as a car to do. But that's a thing that there is as a result of that, and because of the fact that skiing is like, I guess it's meant to be a rich people thing. Again, I'm not certain. Maybe if you're like, maybe that's offensive to people who ski a lot. Maybe I'm just, maybe I'm picking something up there wrong. But one of the things that I therefore picked up is that around ski places, there's often like a lot of like hotels that at least call themselves a 5-star hotel, and I stayed at one of them that was actually reasonably fancy. I have a lot of like travel tips that I've mentioned before, and basically I managed to stay at like a really fancy hotel for like really cheap. That's what I like to do, and because of this, you know, I ran into a little bit of a funny thing because I think one of the most controversial but interesting things about both the world but also how hotels work is that also we're going to try and cut this area off as well, just so we don't have to drain this area, and like we're going to make like a very deliberate square, like almost like a trap, again a box. So yeah, we're going to just go all the way across here. We'll be underwater a lot, but it's fine. But yeah, one of the things I've realized about fancy hotels is that you're not paying for better, like, I think once you get past the point where your hotel room doesn't have bed bugs and you know, whatever else, there's a few services they can provide, and you believe that the more you pay, the more services you get. But I think the truth is actually the opposite. I think people pay for expensive hotels because they want to be around other people that pay for expensive hotels, or more realistically, because they want to feel like they can afford a fancy hotel, which you can if you're, most of the time, you're staying at one. And the reason that that's so interesting is because, basically, again, I'm very out of place in like any, you know, like kind of, basically, I don't fit in with people who, you know, feel like they fit into a 5-star hotel. So because of that, you know, also, Squid, what are you doing? Like, why is he, I guess we're going to trap a squid in one side of this thing. But, so one of the things that, also, I guess we could get a squid this way, couldn't we? So that'd be nice. Even if this doesn't work as a turtle or a dolphin trap, we'll get some squid going at least. But yeah, so one of the most interesting things about the whole 5-star hotel experience is the fact that I wanted to go to dinner at one point, and like again, every time I go to it from my room, I feel a bit out of place, but that's fine. But I really wanted to get dinner like in just my socks, and I was like, you know, I'm gonna do a little bit of an experiment here. I'm gonna also wait. No, I really want to mention first the fact that one of the reasons that like expensive hotels suck, like pro tip, if you're someone who has to travel ever or a lot, or you just want to go on holiday and you're like, oh, I think the best thing to do would be to spend a lot in the hotel because, you know, you stay there overnight and stuff. Again, once you get beyond the point where it's nice, like you don't get nicer at like when you spend like, let's just make up like a crazy number, like $200, $300 a night. If you spend that amount of money, all you're gonna get is like you get to feel fancier, and they provide less for you. There's this really interesting phenomenon in my experience where because you've proven you have money by spending a lot on the hotel, they therefore will charge you for a lot of stuff that's like free elsewhere. Like, oh, breakfast is going to cost money because guess what? You've shown that you know you're willing to pay for things if they're good, or like, you know, the Wi-Fi costs money, even though this is my favorite thing. Like expensive hotels charge you to use the Wi-Fi. And you know, and then also the Wi-Fi sucks because they set up the Wi-Fi years and years and years ago, You know, back when it was really expensive and back when it sucked. So yeah, like hotels that aren't expensive give you free Wi-Fi that is better than the Wi-Fi you pay for at a hotel that costs you more. And that's one of the like big not injustices, but big like kind of funny things in the world of like, yeah, well, you think that you spend more so that you can, really. Why was there no monsters nearby the last time I tried to sleep in there? Okay, you know what? We're just gonna take this brown bed with me. I don't even know why it's brown, and we're just gonna sleep in the desert. That seems fine to me. But yeah, so there's a fun little piece of hotel analysis there for you that I've realized from my time. But let me talk about the like my dinner experience, because I tried to go to dinner at one point wearing just socks. They were very ugly socks, and every time I passed someone, they're like, you know, because everyone's all dressed up to go like eat dinner at like, again, this fancy hotel restaurant, and I'm just like, you know, I'd like to try and eat with just my socks. Then every single time I walked past someone like that was like staff, they'd look at me a bit funny because I was also wearing my ski clothes and stuff, and they'd just be like, interesting. And then like I got like, they'd all have to just like, you know, make it past me till I got in, and then suddenly they're like, oh, sorry sir, you see, you must wear more than what you're wearing right now, because what if a glass fell on the floor? Then you would cut your feet. And it's like, these socks are definitely too thick to cut my feet on. And in fact, you know, one, that's an unlikely event. You're saying like this is safety in case we break something. You know, you might have to watch out. And two, I don't think that like glass can go for socks. I've never tried it. In fact, I kind of want to try. I'm the sort of person that like would actually like, you know, next time a glass is broken, maybe I'll like see if it goes through the socks and stuff, because I feel like it's worth doing those sorts of experiments every now and then with your life just to get that thing done. So anyway, that was my experience. I had a very I didn't actually eat that night because I didn't have shoes, because again, I left them at a skiing place or whatever. And funnily enough, like if you try and break all the rules in society, one, it feels kind of cool to like, when everyone's expecting you to like, again, like people are there because they expect everyone to be different and stuff, and I'm just there like, yeah, actually, I'd like to wear socks and stuff. I'm a valued guest or whatever. And second of all, the other thing I thought was interesting from that whole story is just the fact that like, there's a level of uncomfort where people like definitely can't say things and then they realize they can't. And also, the last thing I realized is that always try and stay at the very most like a mid-sized hotel, like or like a mid-range hotel. Like the even if it's like a cheap fancy hotel, the truth is it always sucks somewhere. Like the hairdryers at that place were super old because everything was fancy, but like fancy years ago. And that's the really like that's one of the most interesting things about the world, in my opinion, is the fact that like how expensive something is now is trumped by how new the thing is in quite a few areas. So in the same way that like it's happening with cars, for instance. The newest Teslas will eventually become self-driving cars. But if you bought even the nicest Tesla when it first came out, before they had the software enabled, your Tesla won't be a self-driving one eventually. So, you know, that sucks for you. If you buy like a fridge from 1960, probably not as good as a fridge today that has like, you know, like Wi-Fi connectivity and runs Android and you can play Flappy Bird on it, you know? Actually, I mean, that's very subjective. That's a terrible example. But you get the point. That I think, I don't know when else in history this has been true, and I wonder why that's true now. Like, is this just an inevitable human thing? Or is it just like, you know, well, that's how the world works. Like, you have to buy a new phone every couple of years. It goes into my Serious Sunday thing of like planned obsolescence, where it's not like you don't even have to like plan obsolescence anymore. You just have to like expect that like, oh yeah, well, I mean, the amount stuff is going in every field means that like no matter how good something is now, it'll be better at some point in the future. And there's very few things I think that don't apply to that. Like even food, right? Like think about fresh food that's like a big thing because it was made recently. It doesn't matter how good the food is if it wasn't made too recently. And I don't know, there's a billion trends like that. I find them all fascinating. So yeah, we're gonna now cut across over to there. Not all the way across, I don't think, but like most of the way. Just so we can like try and get them trapped in these corners, which is the kind of ideal situation. So actually, no, I think we should cut all the way across here first, just so they can't get trapped over there here either, just to make my job a little bit easier in the future. Because then we're going to drain this, we're going to get the torches down. It's going to be wonderful. So yeah, basically, things like the time you bought something is becoming more and more relevant. And I think I said this in the planned obsolescence thing, but I still do feel this. Like the fact that like eventually my phone will die, that makes me like sad. Like, you know, human mortality, like, oh yeah, everyone eventually dies. That doesn't really depress me too much. Like, it's something, I think I made peace with it a long time ago. I think maybe every human has to at some point, or maybe you don't. Maybe that's just a thing people say. But like, you know, that's like a big part of being a human, right? But I think what is way more depressing is like, no matter how nice you buy a microwave, eventually that microwave will break. And it's like, no, but what if I really like the microwave? And sadly, the truth is it doesn't last forever. So yeah, anyway, and that's why I guess like, that's also why airlines, for instance, no matter how fancy an airline is, like even if you think like, oh, I like to fly exclusively with British Airways or only with Air France or whatever your favorite thing is, the newer plane airline, even Norwegian, for instance, they're low-cost airline. So is Ryanair, they're low-cost. But they have the newest planes in the world just because they've recently got them. So they're nicer. They have like that huge edge on the competition. Just even though like they're not trying to be nice, they still manage to be just because they have better planes. Anyway, there you go. Billion examples. How new something is matters a lot. And that's why I guess... I don't know if you can actually look at how new a hotel is, but I have to imagine something that's brand new is actually good. And the only place that doesn't apply is like a brand new food place, because you might get food poisoning. Boom, life pro tips of you. So yeah, So besides walking into a dinner with socks and realizing that like people would try and make excuses that are polite to make you not do a thing. What I realized this weekend is that like I guess. That like skiing is a lot of effort, and also the micro countries are cool. Like 100% would recommend Andorra. I also really like skiing as a physical activity because like your mind doesn't need to be focused too much, so like you have spare time to think. I think one of the most important things I would recommend is like having time to think, which is always so tricky to like give yourself, because if you give yourself time to think, you'll instinctively occupy your brain with like, actually, I'm just going to play like this terrible game on my phone that I don't even like, but, just occupy my brain, or I'm going to read some Twitter or give Facebook another read. Because, yeah, all the best things are found on Facebook. I love reading through that feed. I'm always leave Facebook feeling more enlightened. But you do it anyway because your brain's like just trying to occupy itself. So I think having like a time where like you have to think is a good thing. And there's only a few situations like that in life still. And it's one of the reasons I'm so cautious of social media, because it really does... But very few, even though like I make my living on social media, right? I still feel like it's like just a way for you to like not be alone with your brain. But I think being alone with your brain is like a good thing, because you should like yourself. Even I think at the very least, even if you don't want to like yourself and be like, oh yeah, I hate being alone with this guy. Like it's funny though. It's kind of that's what people are doing, right? You know how sometimes everyone leaves and it's just you and this guy you don't really get along with, and you both have to be like, so we're going now. That's kind of how a lot of people are with like themselves. So they're like, so how about rather than me spending time with you, how about we get some mindless, TV going, or whatever it actually is. And I don't know. I think people are interesting, and I think the world is interesting, and that's my point with all of that. So yeah, one more thing that I wanted to move on before the end of this was actually just a small story about. Oh, okay. Actually, wait. Before any of this, I feel like, even though my small story, it was going to be about print journalism, by the way. But I actually want to kind of just say before the end here that like the Let's Play is a really interesting thing to me, because it's changed so much over the like 6 years I've been doing it, and I sometimes like wonder like, is this time that I spend myself just talking to myself, and is that like crazy in the same way? And I really want to just drive home the point of like, be friends with yourself, because if you like yourself, then maybe other people will like you too. If you can't stand yourself, if you just think about a thing, then maybe you'll give other people an excuse to do something. And I really genuinely believe that like how confident you are about something can actually affect how other people perceive the thing to be, or like, because you like, again, you have like little micro changes. Also, we had perfectly the right amount of sand to do all of these lines the way I wanted to. Like we are perfectly out of sand as that gets done. And I don't know, that seems like just a happy little coincidence if you ask me. So, yeah, we've got all the things we need to get done now just to get our, like, Dolphin thing going. But besides, like, we probably want to put more sand there, but we don't know exactly how, exactly where we're going to do that. So, again, we'll deal with that a little bit later. So for now, we've done a happy... Again, this seems ridiculous that this is a dolphin trap, but we've made an area where they can get into. Once they're in there, it's very tricky for them to get out. Again, right now, it probably should be a little bit closer, but once they get in, they can't... They're statistically more likely to stay in than get out, but yet it's still easy enough for them to get in. I think if I, like, raise the floor, maybe... Again, there's some things I could do to make it, like, a one-way flow, and maybe I should do some of those things. But for now, at least, it's like functioning, and eventually we'll be able to drain, like make a little box around the dolphin, around the turtle, drain it off, then put rails going all the way down to where that is, put a minecart there, push them all the way up, and then boom, we've got ourselves another exhibit. And I think I'll do that with a squid, actually, because, again, if we just drain that area right there, and then have the tracks go along there, then boom, we've got ourselves a squid option. So, yeah, that's something we're going to be doing in the nearest future, because I want to collect every single ocean mob now, besides, I guess, the 3,000 ocean fish or whatever it is, and that's a thing we'll be doing in the future. So for now, actually wait, before we go, because, you know, 19 minutes isn't quite the perfect time for a video, I'm going to just quickly fly over to the loneliest gravel block in the world. I found this because I was just, like, flying around idly. Again, I was trying to, like, you know, collect some forts and stuff, because collecting forts is important. Understanding... one of the things, okay, you know, I really want to stress this, because it's always on my mind. Every time I like, spend time thinking, it's like, that is a key thing I need to focus on before pretty much anything else. Also, there's meant to be, like, a huge mountain here in a corner, but I missed it. But there is the loneliest gravel block in the world, just over here somewhere. Yeah, one of the things I always think about if I am spending time with myself, if you will, which, again, sounds like a really weird euphemism for something, but, one of the things that like, always comes up is, like, you know, in videos, I think I need to, improve the way that I speak. Because I think I like the fast speaking thing. It's the best way for me to get stuff out of my brain. But one of the things I always do wrong with it. Also, we found a ravine here, which is nice, which is slowly having dirt turn into grass. So I'm gonna get this, like, this dirt right, this iron ore, just because I'm in an iron ore mood, you know. Really need to get a lot of that, so we'll just get that done right now. And then we'll move on a little bit more. Fly up, and I'm gonna find this lonely gravel block. I swear to you, I'm gonna do it. It's gonna be around here. Or maybe it's not. You know, I've lost it. There is no lonely gravel block. I dreamt about it or something. But I've been thinking about how I need to present and do stuff a little bit better, especially, you know, both here and also on the 2Cat channel. So I don't know, if you see things change a little bit and you think it's for the better, let me know. Because again, like, slowly, tiny intentional pauses. Again, most people pause because they're just, like, running out of things to say. That's rarely how things go with me. But it is something that I want to, like, intentionally throw in there just every now and then, just to add emphasis and stuff. So yeah, gonna try and, like, improve, rather than getting everything out as fast as possible, which I still want to do most of the time because that's what I enjoy. I want to throw in, like, a few other things in there, like kind of like learning to speak, but not really. So yeah, maybe you'll see that, maybe you won't, maybe you'll like it, maybe you won't. But either way, let me know what you think about it in some future comment section if you ever notice it, because it's one of the I think improving yourself is important, and that's why it's a thing I'm doing. I guess that's both a personal improvement and a professional improvement, but I think they're both important anyway. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed the video, and I guess I'll see you all in the next one. Have a nice day. Goodbye.